Good morning. Good morning. This beautiful spring day. Good morning, everyone. I'm Joel Schrag, and I will be your worship associate this morning. I'm also a member of River Road's Board of Trustees, on which I have served for almost 1 year. If this is your first time visiting River Road, I want to offer you a special welcome. We hope that you will stop by the welcome table after the service as you exit to the coffee hour so that we can make you feel at home and get connected. For those watching live on YouTube, please feel free to join in the chat with our online host. If you're watching this service at a later date and have questions, please visit our website at rruuc.org to learn how to connect with us. So I have a couple of announcements to share this morning. First, our monthly religious education community brunch will take place today at 11:15 in room 32, down the stairs in the new wing. Second, there will also be a West Virginia service trip information meeting right next door at 11:30 in room 31. There are, of course, many other things happening this week, and details for all of our programs and upcoming events can be found on our website at rruuc.org. I would also like to draw your attention to a few things that the board is working on as our congregational year draws to a close. First, we're still looking to round out our slate of delegates to this year's UUA General Assembly, which is completely virtual this year. If you've ever thought of participating in this important denominational meeting, it isn't too late. My board colleague, Lisa Moore, and I will be staffing a table in the fellowship hall after this service. We'd be happy to answer any questions about GA or to explain the process to apply to be a delegate. Stop by just to say hi, if you're so moved. Second, as you may have seen in the e-weekly on Thursday, this is budget season at River Road. Now that we've wrapped up our stewardship campaign, the board can move towards adoption of a final budget for the 2027 fiscal year, which will start on July 1st. An important part of that process is to discuss the current proposed budget with the congregation before the budget is finalized. To that end, we'll have 3 further budget town halls over the next few weeks. On May 7th on Zoom, on May 9th on Zoom, and on May 17th in person in the sanctuary after the service. We on the board urge members to attend these town halls so that we can share with all of you a complete picture of all the issues that we're grappling with in this process. This is an important part of the process of how we choose to live into our mission and vision in this congregation. So please join us if you can. Thank you, and once again, good morning. It's good to be together.
We begin our time together by lighting our chalice, the chosen symbol of our faith, with these words by Aisha Hauser and Susan Lawrence.
We are Unitarian Universalists, with minds that think, hearts that love, and hands that are ready to serve. Together we care for our earth and work for friendship and peace in our world.
Good morning. Good morning. Do you feel like like singing? That didn't sound very encouraging. Do you feel like singing? All right, please rise and bow to your spirit while I figure out why I am making noise. Ooh, that's not good. I'm not going to touch it. Is it off? Okay. All right. Let's sing Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come This year, as we appreciate our volunteer religious education teachers, we'd like to share with you a little bit of what goes on in each of our classrooms. Perhaps you'll be inspired and want to join this group of amazing teachers. In our child dedication rite of passage, you as a congregation agree to help guide our children to become loving, compassionate human beings. Volunteering in RE is one way to fulfill that promise. As we talk about the classes and read the names of the teachers, please hold your applause till the very, very, very end.
Teachers for elementary school classes led the children through lessons from 3 curricula this year: Peace of Mind, Soul Matters, and Flourish Together. Each class made a covenant and spent the year engaged in stories, games, and creative projects that lifted up our UU values. 4th and 5th graders tackled some big questions and reflected on how they UU'd each week, how they lived our UU values in the world. Their teachers are Sandra Bishop, Sarah Bracken, Andrew Daly, Jana Dresden, Becky Apanchin, Barb Geiser, Karen Goldman, Cara Gatsabe, Ginger Luke, Colleen Massacoy, Shanna Masulo, Dan Noland, Joe Prefontaine, Linda Rhodes, Pete Salinger, Colleen Vias, Stuart Weinstein, Walter Weiss, and Mike Zlight. For our middle school class this year, the teachers primarily used Soul Matters to examine further what our values are and why they are foundational, building upon what the kids learned in elementary school. Using conversation, games, and activities, they also concentrated on the ever-important value of community building. And they kept our middle school traditions alive by planning and running the annual haunted house and planting seeds for our garden. Their teachers are Martin Dew, Melissa Kim Highfill, Adam Kuhn, Madeline McElvey, Joey Piervincenzi, and Ilea Sneller.
The Our Whole Lives Sexuality Education Program, also known as OWL, includes our yearly 8th grade class, and this year, the every other year class for 5th and 6th graders. These comprehensive sexuality classes are led by trained facilitators. We have a nice core of facilitators and are always looking for more who would be interested in this life-saving work. We even hope to have a training here at River Road next year. The base of OWL is in values and decision-making. Yes, they learn a lot of factual information, and that information often is quickly changing. They also get to explore exactly what their values are in relationships and in life. This year's teachers in 5th and 6th grade, primarily Sandra Bishop and Bailey Whiteman, and we've had substitutions by Nora Ludden and Beth Dewey. In 8th grade, Kate Heston, Matthew Hammond, Chris McCubbin, Lisa Orange, with subs by Beth Dewey, Susan Messina, and Glenn Peppel. The high school group is youth-led with adult advisors. You'll get to experience their youth-led service next week. They have discussions on topics around UU values and current events and school issues and just life in general. They particularly enjoy working on their murder mystery dinner theater to raise money for their chosen charity. Their advisors this year are Marie Cashel, Doran Flowers, Steve Hartman, Jana Kirkman, Jessica McCuliak, and Megan Mullen. Oh, and Laura is, and now it's time to bring up our thank you banner. It's coming. Leaving it out, and then you want people to add to it? You want people to add to it? And one more thing, I would like anyone who was listed or who I forgot who's been teaching this year to please stand up where you are. And we'll give them another round of applause. Yeah. We're going to come around with some gifts. They are all books. Some there's a variety, so the teachers will get to choose. Yeah, stand up again, so the kids know. The kids might not have you particularly in your class. When do you do it? Okay.
And once the books are handed out, we'll invite children and educators to their classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you, Hadley. Hey, y'all. I think you did something while I was away. Woo! Yeah. You did a thing. That's a joy, right? The world was on fire, but you were in here doing a thing. And that's the circle and the cycle of life that we're in all the time, constantly. So let's take a moment and be grounded. Get settled. Get your feet on the floor, roll your neck, whatever it takes for you to be present in this space. Spirit of life, you who breathe through all things, who were present before we even had words for you, and who will remain when our words fall away. We gather this morning in your presence. We gather not as isolated souls, but as a community, bound to one another by choice and by covenant, held together by something larger than any one of us can name. Spirit of transitions, you who accompany us through the thresholds we did not choose and the ones we stepped toward with trembling feet and hands and hearts, be with us now. We are a people in motion. Some of us carry the weight of endings. Some of us lean toward beginnings we cannot yet see. Some of us stand in the tender, uncertain middle. Not quite here and not quite there. Meet us where we are and remind us that the threshold is not an empty space, it is sacred ground. Spirit of passages, you who have guided every generation through the moments that change them, we remember this morning that we are not the first to stand here. Others have walked through fire and flood, through exile and homecoming, through grief and grace, and have somehow found their way to the other side. Their courage is our inheritance. We don't walk alone. Spirit of change, you who refuse to let anything stay the same forever, who insist on growth when we beg for stillness, teach us to trust the turning. Teach us that what feels like loss is sometimes making room, that what feels like endings is sometimes the only path to what comes next. We come before you this morning carrying our joys, among them the bright particular joy of having called Reverend James Galasinski to serve alongside us. We hold that joy carefully, gratefully, as the gift it is. We hold up, too, the quieter joys, the ones that surprised us, the ones that we've been tending, the ones that we're almost afraid to name out loud for fear they might be fragile. And we come carrying our sorrows, the griefs that linger, the losses still raw, the fears that visit us in the early hours. We don't pretend they aren't there. We lay them down, at least for this hour, into something larger than ourselves. That something larger, the mystery of life, the web that holds us all, does not ask us to have answers. It only asks that we show up, that we remain in relationship, that we extend our hands to those who need steadying and allow our hands to be held when we are the ones who can't stand alone. May this hour be a place of honest reckoning and genuine rest for you all. May we leave more whole than when we arrived, and may we carry with us into the week ahead the knowledge that we belong to something bigger than ourselves, something worth tending, worth showing up for, worth our very best. Join me now in a moment of silent meditation, reflection, or prayer. Amen and blessed be.
few months before the COVID lockdown began, on a Sunday in the middle of that winter of 2020, I found myself sitting in this sanctuary, carrying around something that had been troubling me for several days. It was one of those work situations where I didn't feel I'd really been my best self. And that morning I was sitting here with that uncomfortable awareness. When we came to the offertory, I listened to Cliff's beautiful music for a moment, and then I suddenly felt this impulse. I'm going to go light a candle. Maybe I thought that simple gesture would provide some comfort. Never mind that I, of course, was sitting in the middle of the row and I'd inconvenienced the maximum number of people to get out. Nevertheless, I got up and joined the candle line. On that particular Sunday, the line was very long. It was curling all the way around towards the back aisle. As I came around the curve, I smiled and nodded at someone who was standing at the back of the sanctuary, someone who I didn't really even know, but I definitely recognized him as a very familiar face. And in that instant, everything changed. This fellow congregant, with whom I had just made eye contact, sat down abruptly in the end of the back row, looked at me with an expression I can still see, and said, "I need you to take me and my daughter to the hospital." That was not what I expected to hear in the candle line. I was startled, but I heard myself say, "Let me go get my jacket and tell Glenn that I need to leave." Now, I won't share details this morning of why he knew he urgently needed to go to the hospital right then, because that story is not mine to tell. But I did get his daughter from RE, tried to stay calm so I wouldn't alarm her, prayed I could drive his Prius, and set off for the hospital. I sat with the daughter while tests were run on her dad. After maybe an hour, he rejoined us in the waiting room, and we all received the results of the tests together. Thankfully, everything was fine, and we could all exhale and share hugs all around. There may have even been a few tears. Later that day, I found myself thinking that was quite simply the best candle I'd ever lit. On that Sunday morning, I needed atonement for something that had happened at work, and an opportunity presented itself right in this room, right here. On that Sunday morning, I went forward to light a candle, and instead I was invited quite unexpectedly into relationship with someone who needed help. He and I were not just individuals having parallel spiritual experiences in this room. This sanctuary, the one we're in today, was and is more than just a room where we all sit together. It really is a vessel that holds us together and allows us to come together at times when we really need each other most. Now, you might ask yourself why I'm telling you this story this morning. It came to mind as I was reflecting on the role that River Road plays in our denomination and in the broader community of kindred religious spirits around the world. You and I are in community here. We're in relationship in this community. And sometimes we're called upon to help each other, inspire each other, and learn from each other. I suspect that the same principle can apply at the level of the congregation. Sometimes congregations need to show up for each other and be in relationship with each other. I've certainly witnessed that in River Road's partner church relationships over the years. Hopefully, that's at least part of what happens at every UUA General Assembly among UU congregations of all sizes, experiences, and perspectives. That kind of denominational meeting is important, and not because it's efficient, and certainly not because we all agree on everything. We are, after all, Unitarians. But it's important because we know we're part of something bigger than ourselves. That morning in the candle line, I thought I was coming forward for something personal. And I was. But what happened next reminded me that spiritual life is not only inward, it's also connective. We're changed not only what we believe and by what we experience individually, but by what we're willing to do for each other. The same is true of congregations. Our congregation is not just a standalone unit. We're part of a wider network of communities that are at their best when they're willing to learn from each other, show up for each other, and accomplish things together, sometimes in celebration, sometimes in disagreement, and sometimes in moments of real need. That morning, I went looking for grace in a ritual. And grace met me as a human need and a simple question: can you help? Perhaps one way to describe what it means to be part of something bigger than ourselves, individually and as a congregation, is being at least sometimes willing, when the moment comes, to say, yes, I can help. So we've now reached the time in the service when we're all invited to share from our financial gifts. Mindful that we gratefully drink from wells we did not dig and enjoy the fruit and the shade from trees we did not plant. Others will be grateful tomorrow for the gifts we share with them today. In a moment, ushers will pass baskets to collect the morning offering here in the sanctuary. If you're a visitor, please let the basket pass you by, as you are our guest. For those who would prefer, you may share a gift by text, sending a message to 73256. In the text field, include RRUC and a dollar amount and follow the prompts. You can also use the Give Online button on the rruc.org website. And of course, during the offertory, please feel free to come forward to light a candle of joy or of sorrow. We really never know where that candle will take us, do we? So, on that note, the morning offering will be gratefully received.
I want to thank Joel for his reflection about a candle. He just thought he was coming forward to do something personal that day, a private gesture, a moment of atonement. And he was. But, as we heard, he was reminded that spiritual life is not only inward, that it's connective, that grace does meet us as a human need with that simple question, can you help? Now, I've been thinking about that. I thought about it when I read his draft of this, and again this morning, because I found my own version of it last week. While you all were here at River Road greeting Reverend James, discerning together what this congregation's future might look like, I was with a group of my colleagues in our annual transition ministers meeting that we hold every year. It's virtually kind of our own little convention. People like me who have given years to interim ministry, who have served congregations in all the in-between spaces. As we went around the room saying hello to one another, something amazing kind of happened. I thought it was amazing. We started naming all the congregations we had served, and the names kept overlapping. Someone had served where another one had been before as the interim. Somebody else had been in formation at a church where another person helped rebuild. Another person was the developmental minister there, and somebody else came as a settled and then later become an interim. The connections kept appearing, one after another, a web of relationships, of shared history, of common labor in the vineyard of this faith. And it reminded me, this is what I mean when I tell you all the UU-verse is small. Unitarian Universalism is a small movement, relatively speaking. We run into each other all the time. We've lived in the same cities, attended the same congregations, and worked with the same people. We know one another. I knew Reverend James before he came here. We went to the same school. We know one another. The UU-verse is small. But small and interconnected aren't the same things. We talk about our seventh principle a lot, the affirmation of the independent web of existence of which we are all a part. But sometimes I wonder if we stop too soon with that principle. We think about the web of living things, of nature, of the cosmos, and all of that is true and beautiful, but we're also a part of a web of congregations, a web of communities, a web of faith freely chosen and freely maintained across centuries and across geography. It's really, really easy, friends, to get hung up on our own stuff, to be so focused on our own lives that we forget the larger fabric we're woven into. Easy to think of our own needs, our own opinions, our own congregations' struggles, and think they are unique. It's easy to imagine that we're the only ones who've ever been in search. We're the only ones wrestling with our budget. We're the only ones asking what it means to be a faithful community in a frightening political time. And we're not. We are not alone. We never have been, and we surely aren't now. Now, some of you know how much I like history, so there has to be a history component to this. I'm going to take you back this morning. I'm going to take you way back, 1648. A group of Congregationalist churches in colonial New England had a problem. The English Parliament, which was controlled by Presbyterians, was reaching across the Atlantic to bring the New England churches under its authority. The Puritans of Massachusetts Bay had established something remarkable. Autonomous gathered congregations, each bound together not by hierarchy, but by covenant. And they were not about to give that up. Not for Parliament, not for anybody. So they gathered in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and they wrote what would become known as the Cambridge Platform. And it is, in many ways, the founding document of everything that Unitarian Universalism is today. It is our history. As our Tapestry of Faith RE curriculum has reminded us, it articulated the principle of congregational polity. Okay, what's that mean? That every congregation decides its own rules and governs its own self. That its members are bound to one another by voluntary covenant, not by a creed or a professed belief. And that's still how we organize today. That's still what we are. But here's the problem. Most folks stop reading right there. They don't turn the page. They hear autonomy, self-governance, each congregation makes its own decisions, and Boston is not going to tell me what to do. Turn the page. There is more. And that's the part I want to talk about this morning. Chapter 15 of the Cambridge Platform is titled, quote, "Of the communion of churches with one with another." And it begins with this statement: "Although churches be distinct, and therefore may not be confounded one with another, and equal, and therefore not have dominion one over another, yet all the churches ought to preserve church communion one with another, because they are all united into Christ." End quote. That's us. Distinct, equal, and yet bound to one another. That was the whole vision right there in one sentence from 1648. Now today you may substitute the united unto Christ part, you may substitute some of the words, but the thing is the same. Unitarian Universalists are together because we choose to be together in covenant, with no one having hierarchy over anyone else. And we are here because we are all committed to our values, to our principles and our values. Distinct, equal congregations? Yes, bound to one another. The platform goes on to describe 6 ways that congregations are to be in communion. They care for one another's welfare. They consult with one another when wisdom is needed. They offer admonition when a community has gone astray. They participate together in worship and shared life. They commend members to one another's fellowship. And when a community is in real need in times of scarcity or crisis, they offer relief and succor. Mutual care, consultation, accountability, participation, recommendation, and relief in times of needs. Our ancestors weren't describing isolated congregations doing their own thing. They were describing a community of communities. Distinct, yes. Equal, yes, but responsible to and for one another. That vision didn't disappear. It became us. The Unitarian Universalist Association, the UUA, is not a governing body of congregations. That's not what it is. It doesn't tell any congregation what to do or how to do it. It exists precisely to make those 6 forms of communion possible. It's how we offer mutual care across congregations. So, when a congregation experiences a flood, a fire, some devastating loss, we support them. That's the mutual care. We consult on the hard questions confronting our faith. We meet at General Assembly. We talk. We have regions. That's why we do that. We hold one another accountable to our best values. When there is misconduct, we address it. We show up in one another's communities. We worship together. We attend social justice and other events at one another's congregations. How silly would it be if you never ever went to anything at another UU congregation? We work together on major projects such as the credentialing and settlement of ministers, religious educators, and other religious professionals. And we pool our resources so that no one congregation has to figure out how to offer health insurance to its small pool of employees, or no struggling congregation has to figure out how to make their way alone. And the primary way that we do all of this, the way we exercise that democratic polity together, is through the General Assembly. General Assembly is our annual gathering of congregations. Every congregation sends delegates. The congregation size determines the number, so every congregation has a voice proportional to its size. We deliberate together on the issues facing our faith and our world. We make decisions together about who we want to be as Unitarian Universalists. It is slow. It is sometimes contentious. It is, in its best moments, genuinely holy. General Assembly 2026 is coming up next month. River Road will have 11 delegates. There will be decisions to be made. Decisions about our movement's direction, our commitments, and our future. After the service today, I hope you'll stay for a congregational conversation about the issues on this year's agenda and how you can become a delegate or otherwise participate. But for this moment, I want to say something simpler. We encourage you to vote in local and national elections, yes? Yeah, we do that. We remind you to pay attention to your local school board, your city council, and your state legislature. We say this because we know that you're part of communities larger than yourselves, and that those communities need your voice. Your participation is not optional when the stakes are real. The same is true here. You are not just a River Roader. You are a Unitarian Universalist. You are part of a movement that has been, at its best, a voice for justice, for reason, and for the dignity of every person. A movement that traced its DNA through the Cambridge platform, through the anti-slavery pulpits of New England, through the voices that said no to every kind of patriarchy and hierarchy that tries to tell human beings who they can be, what their gender must be, who they can love, and whether they are even allowed to exist in your country. That movement needs you. Not just to show up here on Sunday mornings, not just to write a check or to volunteer for a committee. It needs you to know that you belong to something larger than just this space, larger than this building, larger than this moment. Joel went forward to light a candle and found himself in a relationship he didn't expect. I went to a minister's meeting and found myself held by a web that I knew existed, whose existence was fully and completely reaffirmed, though, for me in that moment. Maybe that's always how it works. We think we're showing up for something small and personal, and we are. But the something small and personal turns out to be a thread in a much larger fabric. You are the threads of that fabric, every one of you. And together, across the country, this congregation is a section of that fabric. And across the denomination, across the movement, across the centuries, we are all part of something bigger than ourselves. May we show up for it. May we take our place in it. And may we never forget that we aren't going it alone. We're part of a larger web. We're part of something much bigger than ourselves. Amen and blessed be. Let's rise in body or spirit and sing our closing hymn, number 318, We Would Be One. Our Unitarian Universalist principles and values call us to live those values out loud, not alone, and encourages us to be open-minded, open-hearted, spiritual communities, helping people lead lives of justice, love, learning, and hope. Here are some things you can do to serve those values. Stick around and learn about what's going to happen at General Assembly. You can be a delegate, or you can just watch. I'm going to host a watch session upstairs in the fireside room throughout GA for those who choose not to be delegates. You can pursue membership in this congregation. Our next UU 101 class is starting May 12th. This is required for anyone wishing to join River Road as a member. It's also a good way to learn more about Unitarian Universalism. Whether it's new to you or you've been around for a long time, it's a good time to come to that class. You can sign up on Realm. And also, an announcement that we didn't include earlier is that the spring auction has started. Right? Bidding starts online in 6 minutes and ends in 2 weeks on May 17th. Thank you to everyone who donated. There are some amazing things out there, experiences, lessons, services, gift certificates, and, new this year, gift basket donations from RE families. So go to the auction table during coffee hour and register your bid. If you need help doing that, go to the website, find the link. Even if you bid last year, bids do not carry over. Yes, it's been asked, so yes, we have to say it. You have to bid again this year. All right. Thank you all.
And we have reached the end of the service, so we will join together as this chalice is extinguished and read the words by Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Schwei, I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss you. As we prepare to leave this space, may we carry with us the truth that we are woven into something much larger than ourselves. This congregation, this movement, this ancient and ever-renewing covenant we share with one another. Go knowing that you are held. Go knowing that you are not alone, and go ready to say yes when the movement comes. Blessed be.